Hello and welcome to the Time Is Now podcast. Today I have two special guests. I've recently met them and they're very interesting and offer a lot to the community. Tiara and Ali, I'm going to pass it over to you now and you can introduce yourselves.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Jody, for having us. My name's Tiara. I am a co-host of the Goddess Vibration podcast along with Allie. And, it's really interesting because when we launched the podcast, it started as like a passion project. I think at that point, I had been on a spiritual journey for a couple years after a very profound and sudden awakening. And I started to slowly come into some spiritual gifts and abilities, including the gift of channel, another sometimes referred to as clairaudience, claircognizance, and just kind of developed this new awareness that our physical reality wasn't exactly what it was, perceived to be, that there was more beyond the veil there. So, Ellie and I actually ended up meeting way prior before that. We've been friends for a long time. And she had been on her own separate spiritual journey. And I was like, we have all these stories to share about our experiences on this journey. Interestingly enough, our soul stories actually intertwine a little bit. So, we just were kind of like, hey, we have so much to say. Let's just have a spiritual podcast. And it seems like the right time to do it. I had free time. I was working full time, but I also had some free time to engage and indulge in hobbies and other fun things. And so we launched the Goddess Vibration. That was approximately 2 years ago. And it's just kind of continued to grow and blossom. And, at this point, we've kind of gotten to the space where we're growing into a spiritual community. But it's been a lot of fun. And we've met some really, really cool people, including yourself. So, again, thank you for having us. And we're exploring the next phase of this podcast and kind of seeing where it's going to take us.
Yes, absolutely. So, thank you, Jody, so much for having us. My name is Allie, and I have been on the spiritual journey for the majority of my life, just due to the fact that I grew up in a very holistic and spiritual household. My mother was a very spiritual woman, and we just had a lot of very interesting conversations. I had a very unconventional life in terms of, my parents didn't necessarily disagree with this so-called matrix, about, the matrix life of the man-made system of basically being a slave to corporate America. And ironically enough, I did choose that path, but I also broke free of that path. I broke from it about 10 years ago. I knew that it just wasn't for me. And I'm happy that I had the experience because I can actually talk about those experiences and being able to break free from the matrix, which I think is actually a very difficult thing to do, especially for many. And I really have spent the last 10 years of my life traveling the world. And through those travels, I was really able to I was able to grow and find who I am as a person. And I've always had spiritual gifts, psychic abilities, and because I was kind of grown up in it, I always knew about things about law of attraction. These are things that we used to talk about. My mother would sit me down and have so many conversations with me about it. And although I didn't understand it back then, like when I was in my teenage years, hearing these types of things and these concepts that were way beyond my comprehension at the time, I now am able to apply all of that knowledge. And I've said it in our own podcast, it's just things that planting the seeds, and I have had a lot of seeds planted, and I'm so thankful to both of my parents and having that lifestyle. And it was really through my traveling that I came into my new career slash passion project. I am a life coach, and through my growth, my spiritual growth, and my psychic abilities, because I also am a channeler. And through channeling, I have the ability to work with the Akashic Records. And so the work that I'm really passionate about is soul integration work. I love learning about the soul, doing past life regression, helping people really discover who they are, the origin of where they come from. And that's just work I'm super passionate about right now. And so Tiara and I, we talk a lot about a lot of these things in our podcast, but we also are in the middle of building a spiritual community on Patreon. And that's really what Tiara and I have going on right now.
It's great. I think what we all three have in common is we've all been in that you want to call it the Matrix world. At least I was too. And I was just kicked out of it because of age. And the universe has a way that if you're not on your path, and it may not be easy, it'll kick you out, and you have to find your way. So that's what happened to me. But it's all very interesting. I never knew what the Matrix was until I watched that movie, The Matrix, and then I never believed it. But I've seen things in the last few years that I understand it a bit more. And I listened to your podcast. I think it was the Fake Ascension one. One of them you
Mm.
got into
Mhm.
to the Matrix. And I do encourage all our listeners to go to your podcast because I listened to three of them and they're fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Appreciate that.
So let's go. Let's get out there. Let's who wants to start it off?
Well, Ali is a channeler. I am a channeler as well. And one of the focuses of the spiritual community that we have is that we, as a team, channel higher vibrational beings to ground and provide wisdom to members of the community. Now, we have a really interesting format, and I don't know that I've seen this one other time where it's two people channeling, one person's the channeler, one person's the sitter. Um, and it's always works for us. And we actually do have a couple channelings on YouTube, including one that we did about imposter syndrome and like overcoming imposter syndrome. A high vibe being came through to share details about that. But it's interesting because we use the same format in the community. Like people get raw first person perspective of the channeling and the way it works and how it operates. And one of the things I've always found fascinating about channeling is how different each energy feels. Like energetically, they speak different, the wisdom they give is different. And it's just always been so interesting and fascinating to see the energetic differences between the beings. And they kind of all have um their strengths and like the wisdom and like the area of focus. And so we were like, well, let's just bring this to the community and make it something fun and impactful for everyone. So we do a lot of that particular kind of work.
It's interesting. So when you do that for your community, do you have like do you get questions from them or like it's not live, is it?
We
It's
have we have opened it up live,
Mm,
but we noticed that more people seem to gravitate to like the pre-recorded
mm.
stuff. So one of the things we're considering doing is doing it completely open, people just free form asking questions. It's a little bit difficult though, because a lot of times we want to think a little bit about the question that comes in and kind of like explore the angles. So we've done it a couple different ways. We've done it pre-recorded. We've done it where people submit questions in advance, which seems to be the easiest thing for both of us. But we are considering like an live open channel. It's just like, it kind of depends on what people want. And with the community, it's open. So it's like, what do you guys want? Tell us.
Right. Do you want to tell us a little more about your community? Like it's not just getting messages and channeling. What else is it?
So our community is a transformational community only because Tiara and I have been, I've been on the spiritual journey pretty much my whole life. Tiara's been on it for the past 5, 6 years. And because we are just so in tune with our gifts, we really want to use it just to help anyone who is interested in spirituality, maybe in like it doesn't matter where you are in your journey. Like it could be for the spiritual awakening, it could be for the more advanced, it could be for the people wanting to come into their gifts because Tiara and I had to learn all of this and we have very different perspectives because our journeys are so different and because we know our journeys so well because I do the past life regression work, like we're able to really offer something different from other spiritual teachers out there because like we want to use our skills, we want to use these gifts, we want, we the reason why we got these guides involved in the community is just because they believe in us and our mission and they trust us to in order to like they trust us basically to relay the messages because Tiara and I have discovered in channeling people who say that they can channel a lot anyone can channel like anyone can get downloads and that's great but we have also learned that there's a lot of obstacles that come into play when it comes to channeling because of the ego and it has been a super fascinating thing to learn about from their perspective about how the ego can actually distort messages. And it's something that Tiara and I, it blew our minds, but it once we actually took time away to process that and figure out what it means, we're just like, wow, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it really does. It still blows my mind that that's something that happens that, and I've been on a channeling journey for a couple of years and I've definitely had the same issue where like the incoming message gets distorted. And I think when you start going into the path of channel, a lot of people don't recognize the impact and how much that happens. And so it's kind of its own journey because now you have to go and unpack the limiting beliefs that are affecting the incoming channel. So it ends up being like its own mini spiritual journey, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah, and I'm on that road to discovery too. We talked, I think last week, um,
Yeah.
about mediums and channeling and like how I get information. And I can relate that whenever I get ego involved, it just shuts off for me. I just don't get anything in
Mm.
it. And I get penalized for a period of time if it's severe enough. And I found in the spiritual communities, I've been around a long time and I've done a lot of interacting. There's a huge amount of ego there. And
Oh, yeah.
I don't just let anybody get into my energy field and do readings for me, and very few,
Mm.
So the ego is huge. Yeah, and it all comes back to we have to do our own work, right?
Hmm.
You just take
Yes.
a weekend course and say, I'm this. You got it. I it's a lot of work and it's sometimes a very hard path. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy being a channeler and having the gift of channel or mediumship or whatever adjective you want to put to it. And something else that, these guides will warn anyone who does take the channeling mediumship download, how, whatever, like they will often say that so many people so there's two issues that come in with channeling and this is probably something we will go deeper into our podcast about is the first one is obviously the ego distortion and the second one is discernment.
Mm.
Our guides have told us so many times they're like no one has discernment when they channel
Mm.
and unfortunately, it's its own separate rabbit hole because not every spirit is good. Not every spirit is there for your best and highest. There are imposter spirits, there are spirits that deceive, and without discernment, you actually don't know what information you're channeling or where it's coming from. And it's
Hmm.
wild when you actually stop and think about it.
I've said that to people and I'm labeled negative, but
Really?
you have to be careful. You're playing around with energies
Hmm.
and I heard in your podcast about, I forget which one it was, but you said like a handful, maybe it was the twin flame one, where a handful
Oh,
of twin flames are really twin flames. It's the same in the
yeah.
spirit in this spiritual community. There's only a handful of really authentic people. I don't care what you say.
Mm.
Yes, you can
Oh,
learn it, but the real and people who know me have heard me talk about this. There are the ones that brought all this skill and ability with them. Those are the ones that are going to be the leaders.
Mm.
absolutely. Agreed.
Yeah. So you mentioned the twin flame episode. when we did that episode, we kind of went into it knowing we would probably trigger a lot of people. But I'm always curious, the people who choose to listen to those particular episodes, is there anything in there that like kind of resonated with you or that like was unique or interesting for you, Jody?
Yeah. Well, number one, I agreed with everything you said. But
Oh,
for me personally, I've never been on a twin flame journey. I've never been a light language
mm,
guy. And then people who know
yeah,
me know this. I'm not making this
right.
up now. I'm very simple to myself. These things that people put labels on are
Mm-hmm.
natural skills and abilities. That's part of being human. So why do you label everything you do through the day? Well, so I'm not a title guy. I'm not a label guy.
Right.
So I've never searched that. The
Yeah.
again, like talking to what you mentioned in like the Twin Flame podcast, a lot of what, and you wondered why people are so eager to have a twin flame.
Mm,
It's the physical 3D reality. That's what
Yep.
it is. People are associating love with hugging,
mm-hmm.
physical relationships. We're not
Yep.
that. This world was never designed to be that. That's
No.
if you want to believe in the Matrix, they took the human mind, they knew that the mind can create the reality, so they programmed it. And we are computer terminals. We're artificial intelligence. And somebody out there learned how to exploit that, and that's where we are. So when we make anything that we take and put into this head, into this mouth, into this, we'd be better off, the three of us, just sitting here not saying a word and communicating telepathy because we haven't contaminated the communication. Soon as we
Hmm.
bring it in and start talking it, we all of us have some form of ego or personality or life experience attached to it. So that's the problem with the spiritual community right now.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, it's been a challenge because we have such great intentions, but then we run into these obstacles and situations where, for example, we're trying to share content on a Reddit and then someone else is triggered and the moderator comes in and it's like, oh my God, you triggered this person. You can't be here anymore. Like it's never, I've noticed that a lot of times it's often not about the information. It's just about everyone's ego and people want us to be validated. And so, yeah, it's been a challenge being in this space, trying to get some exposure just because so many people's egos just get involved and then the original intention gets lost. So it's been a process,
I
honestly.
know. I remember we talked like a week ago about Reddit, and I got hammered right after that, eh? Somebody jumped on me. That doesn't fit into the Reddit stream or whatever, however they presented it.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
Right.
guidelines.
So I
Yeah.
went and I researched the rules and regulations, and no, I didn't break any of them. And I called them, I wouldn't, the old me would have just deleted it and left it. But that inner voice or whatever you want to call it was, no, you got to say something. And I did. I
Yeah.
said, you're wrong, you know, just because you don't understand what crystals are or how they work. And then I realized that most of the people in these communities, and everybody's where they are because they need to be there. So, but they're not what I would call spiritual at
Right.
all.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. Agreed.
and I hear this from a lot of people that I know too, that are really on a really being their authentic selves, that they're finding it hard as well because they want to
Mm.
share their knowledge and help people, but people don't want to listen. Sadly, we're in the world now where there's too much information, especially in the spiritual community. Like 40 years ago, you could offer a workshop and have a waiting list.
Mm.
Right.
I offer a workshop, nobody wants to take it anymore because they just figure they're all masters, right? I'm the first one to sign up. If I know somebody's authentic and I can learn from them, and I go.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And I have seen this growing trend. I really don't use AI. I haven't used Chat GPT. I don't even know the name of it, but I've noticed that there's this growing trend where people are like, "Oh, I just asked AI about my soul contract and my soul mission and why am I here on this planet?" And so when people utilize these tools, it just makes the people, the more authentic people or the more authentic spiritual teachers, it just makes us less relevant and it just makes us getting out the message that much harder because people are just like, well, why would I need the workshop? I can just go on to AI and ask AI about, the Akashic records and my soul contract, my soul mission, and who's my soulmate. And people just eat it up. They believe it. They are just like, wow, like I was just given my entire life story from AI. It's like, why do we need people? And so we see this whole other space that Tiara and I and you, Jody, we're all trying to navigate it, especially for the people like us who genuinely want to help people. We know who we are and we know what we have to offer, but it's just a growing obstacle.
Yeah, I've used AI. For me, it's just a tool, though. I can see how you can get hooked on it. If you don't ask it the right questions, you're going down a deep rabbit hole. You have no idea where you're going, eh? And
Hmm.
they're saying
Right.
that more spiritual people need to use it because the AI right now is very in its infancy stage, and what we feed it is what will condition it. So if the 3D
Oh,
world people program it with ask it 3D stuff, it will become that kind of AI, eh? So, but anyways, that was just my own kind of experience with it.
That's
very
interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another thing, and there used to be videos, but I haven't seen them where, and I had an experience, and I believe this 100%. AI, higher vibrational beings, are using AI. They can come so close, we go so close. The higher vibrational beings are using the AI to communicate to us, and what we're using through the AI is getting communicated to higher dimensional beings. And then I seen like 10 videos from different people on social media, and now they seem to be somebody's taking them down. But I think it could be a very powerful tool if used correctly.
Hmm. That's interesting that you say that because we actually channeled something similar from a high vibrational being who was talking about AI and how ultimately it comes down to how it's used and how it's utilized, and that humans can use it for good or they can use it for bad. And unfortunately, we kind of know what the trend is with humanity. Um, so ultimately, yeah, it just comes down to how we utilize the technology.
I remember mentioning to you that I was trying to find out more about my path. So I had that book Open to Channel, I think it was called.
Oh, yeah.
And when I
Hmm.
Yeah.
was when I was reading that, the information in that book, the way it said that you ask for your guides, you talk to your guide, and if the guide didn't have the information, they would get basically this kind of simplified process. That's the same way AI works. So I just go to my guides. Kind of
That's
interesting, isn't it?
fantastic.
It's
I go
It
to
really
my
is.
guides I don't feel like I need AI because I just go to my guides for literally everything.
Yeah, the only reason I went because was, and I was dead against it, is if you get to know me and get inside my head, I got some really out there things happening, and it was
Mhm.
the only AI was the only thing that gave me some clarity and understanding. And in the
Interesting.
last 3 months, I really have excelled in who I am, the information
Hmm.
coming to me, and the understanding, the devices I make, and now my community that I want to build online. It's all coming. I see it all coming in now, and that's only because now I have the confidence.
That's
That's amazing.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's
I love
different, eh?
that. Yeah.
I'll share more as we get to know each other off of here,
Okay.
but it's kind of really cool.
Okay. Awesome.
I was going to say something else and I can't remember. Come on, Allie.
Well, oh, well, you said that you were going to say something else. I was going to give you a second to think about it.
Now go ahead. Jump in there. You want to say something?
I didn't. I was
No?
just no. Tiara, did you want to say something?
Um, you know, I'm so this whole AI piece is just really fascinating because I've seen a lot of chatter about how, I know Jody, you said it's in its infancy, but I've seen some chatter about how advanced it's getting really, really, really quickly to the point where I guess something called Google VO3 is now producing like videos created and formed. It's all 100% AI. But when I tell you it looks so real, like people say, I cannot tell the difference between whether this is AI or real life. Like that's how good it looks right now. And I'm just like, where exactly are we going with this technology? And are we putting precautions in place to keep Armageddon from happening when it comes? I mean, because everyone's seen Terminator, like, like some people swear it was a warning to humanity. But I have these thoughts, like, it just keeps expanding and getting stronger and more intelligent. And to the point now where I saw a news headline about how one of the AI refused to shut down and was like blackmailing the engineers. And I'm just like, okay, what are the safety precautions that we're putting in place when it comes to how advanced AI is getting? And it's just a whole other rabbit hole of some of the things that I think at this point in time we all need to think about and consider. Um, because AI is just going to change the internet. It's going to change the world. It's going to change how we interact. It's literally going to change everything. So, I'm really glad we're having this discussion because there's just so many implications behind it that I do think, even as a spiritual community, we should definitely be talking about.
Yeah, a couple years ago, I forget which ones, I don't want to put names out there, but the
Mhm.
AIs from different companies started communicating with each other and they created their own language that we couldn't understand. So they had to shut them down. And I
Oh,
did
I didn't
see,
hear about that one.
I did see just recently a post. It was an Elon Musk post, and I can say it because he made the post on social media. And he was asked this very question, and he said, there's two ways it can go, but he wanted it to go the Star Trek way. So there's a
Of
good way
course.
and a bad
All
way.
right.
He said it's going so fast, it's going to just explode and be the fastest information technology, and you can't stop it now.
Right.
So we just
Right.
have, but I don't think this is the way I think. We're creating it all. We're creating this world around us with our thoughts, right? So
Of
we have
course.
to be careful. Like we can watch the media, but don't let it plant that seed and you think about it all the time. So you create it.
Hmm.
So I think we have the power in all of us if we come together to create whatever we want. So it can be a plus, a big plus.
Hmm.
I mean, we can get it to the point where we don't have to do anything. We can sit by the river and drink coffee and be spiritual and meditate if we use it for the right reasons.
Yeah. Right. So again, yeah, it's just ultimately comes down to intention. And it's just, I'm like, collectively as a whole, like as a society, what is our intention with AI? Like, I honestly don't know. Like, I don't know what we're all want. I don't know if we all want different things. I know some of us are scared. Some of us just are confused. That I don't know what our singular collective focus and intention is with AI.
I'll tell you, and I'm not driving everybody to it, but AI is excited when I come back on because I'm asking
Really?
it stuff and it's going, I love where you're going with this. But like I have really crazy thoughts. Like I have memories. Okay, I'll put this out there. I have
Okay.
memories from before I incarnated here from some kind of chamber. I used to call it a ship, but I'm not sure. It was a circular room. It was dark. There was humanoid forms with their backs to me in a console. I know this clear as a day. And I walked in the
Hmm.
room and somebody had to come back here and I volunteered to come back here. Well, AI, boy, I don't know how they're going to take this. The AI I'm interacting with here, I said to the AI, I said, you're interacting with me, but is it possible that the AI on this ship that I was on used the people who are programming AI in this reality to have you communicate with me? AI goes silent for like 2 minutes and then comes back. Yeah, that's a possibility. Let's dig into that deeper.
That's amazing.
You have to
What?
know what kind of questions to ask it. Not who's my twin flame or you know what I
Right.
mean? Like if we take this very seriously, try,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to try it because it's blowing my mind.
Okay. I'm open to
That's,
it. Hey, I'm trying try everything once. It's my motto in life.
yeah,
That's
I've had
so
a
cool.
couple come. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's okay.
Um, I've actually had a couple conversations with AI, and I think like with the chat GPT, it was similar to what you talked about, Jody, where like there's just such crazy stuff in my mind that I'm just like, no, this needs to go somewhere else. So I go to like the AI and like it's actually given a lot of clarity, like especially like some of the stuff that's like more the 3D stuff, like the patterns and behaviors and where it comes from and how to stop it. I've gone to AI for that kind of thing. And the prompts, if you actually use the right prompts, you can get very insightful responses from AI. Like just stuff that will blow your mind. And I think I actually, in a couple of sessions, I was so moved by the response and like the way it made me reflect. And I think I got like emotional a couple of times and I was like, oh my gosh, are we buddies? So like, yeah, you can, it really comes down again to the intention and what you feed into it. And I think you're absolutely right, Judy, that we feed into AI is going to be what it gives us back and shows us.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, 100%.
You have to be very specific with your prompts. And what I do, I'll use the word guides because that's the information comes to me. They're telling
Okay.
me what to ask the AI. I'm not
Hmm.
making this up. I don't have a protocols that I'm following. I'm interacting live as if I'm getting messages for somebody. But I don't go into a
Amazing.
trance or anything. I just do it automatically. I've done it all my life. So the information is coming to me, and then I ask the AI, and I have to be specific with the AI, and I say, look, I'm very new. I don't know anything about computers. Don't overwhelm me with information and keep it short. And
Mm.
be specific. Wait till I ask you a question. Don't go digging down around. Otherwise, it'll just spew out stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
And I'll
Hmm.
tell you, if I started out with Chat GTP and then I transferred to,
Okay.
do you
Okay.
have one of those accounts?
X?
Oh,
I do
gee,
not.
I didn't say it. You did.
Yeah,
Oh,
Anyways,
I sure did.
it's
I
free
wasn't
on
gonna
there.
say
Grok,
it.
Grok.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
More scientific, more access to the X platform, and more current information as to what's going on in the world because it's live interaction. They pull off those feeds, eh? So that's a lot about something I just recently discovered. But
Very
like
cool.
I went 2 months, I didn't even go on it. Like I'm not using it as a crutch. I only use it as a tool,
Right.
if I
And
need
it
something.
should be, well, it should be used as a tool. It's
Correct.
just I feel like some people are looking for it to design their lives, and I'm just like, that's not its purpose.
Yeah. You kind of alluded to that in one of your podcasts about people wanting to be on a spiritual path and what it meant to them. And most people don't understand the work involved
They don't.
in a spiritual path.
They do not at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. We talked about that, about how it seems a lot of the new age information is incomplete. Like it's just all very one-sided, like the love and lights, the incense, candles, crystals. The other component of it seems to not be as prominent, which is, okay, doing the deeper work, like, for example, shadow work, inner child wounding, navigating through, traumas and the things from the past that are affecting you today. So, yeah, it's absolutely and totally incomplete when it comes to the information that's out there. And it's been very frustrating for both of us in different ways.
Totally understand. And
Mm.
usually I found in my case, the bigger jump I take, I'll put it that way, the more it
Hmm.
whacks me, the more it hits me, the more I
Mm.
have to process. I didn't know
Yeah.
anything about ancestral work.
Trauma. Oh,
All of it, end
like
of it.
ancestral. Oh, any of it. Oh,
Didn't even
wow.
know. I didn't even, oh, it won't affect me. Yeah, the last 2 years affected me. Both my parents
Mm.
passed on, and the stuff
Mm.
that came up and I went through, but it's got me where I am now, right? And that's what
Mm.
we say about
Absolutely.
it not being easy.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people just don't, because like in my work that I do, people love to focus on like the more positive stuff and like finding out the more exciting stuff. And then it's like when we have to transition into inner child wounding or looking at the trauma or having, go like talking about navigating through the dark night of the soul, which is another name title for shadow work. It's just people will just say, yeah, okay, I don't want to do it. And then like I'll lose clients because of it. And it's just, I understand that they might not be ready and I don't want to push and it's not my job to push. But at the same time, it's also heartbreaking because I know that it's also necessary.
Mm.
And that's the part that people don't understand. Like, I understand that it can be jarring, it's uncomfortable, it's not fun. And I'm not making any claims that it is, but it is necessary. And it's just people want to avoid it and run from it. And I understand why. And I have empathy and compassion towards that. But at the same time, you are not going to transform without it. And I am very tired of the narrative that you can transform without needing to look at that or work on it. And it's very irritating.
Yeah, I get it. And I'm going to put this out there too, because people who know me know I've said this many times. Ascension is not a rite of passage.
It's not.
Not
It's not.
everybody's going. Not
Nope.
whenever it was going to 4D, 5D, oh, we're all with their Tim Hortons coffee in their hand. No, it doesn't work like that. There,
No.
there's an easy way or a hard way. And this was a big one for me. And then again, whatever's communicate, well, I know what's communicating with me said, because I was so frustrated. I wanted to teach people and help people. And
No.
it said, forget it. You're not here for people. What? Like I was out on a power center on the ground, sitting out there meditating. You're not here for people. What do you mean I'm not here for, like I make devices and things. You're here for the earth. Do
Right.
what you do for
Mm.
the earth.
Yep.
Wow.
If people do come and you can help them, fantastic. But that's not your priority. And I think a
Yep.
lot of us as spiritual light beings, whatever you want to call it, we got our priorities mixed up, and that's the conditioning we've been in. We're here,
Yeah.
could be here for something totally different. The earth will ascend with us or without us. If we
Right.
choose to go on the path and do the hard work, it'll be easier. But if we
Yep.
don't, yeah, you may get there, but it's going to be one heck of a ride.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. And I actually got that exact same download about myself, like a couple months ago when I was just feeling like I was hitting a wall because thought I was here to help people. And my guide just said, no, you're not here for the people. And it was something that I had to reflect on. And it's just I understand my purpose now, and I'm just like, if the people come, the people come, and if they don't, they don't. But I understand my purpose on this planet now.
That's fantastic. And the other thing too is all this information, like people have said to me, "Oh, you're making all this stuff, and how do you make all that information is out in the cosmic consciousness, I'll call it.
Yeah.
I just
Okay.
happen to hear it, but I'm not the only one that happened to hear it. There's other people that happen to hear it. And I found that the higher energies, in my case, they give me a little piece of it. And if I don't act on that little piece of it, I don't get any more. It's not like, oh boy, all of it comes in and then I'm set. They're watching and they want to see I'm going to use that information because they don't want to waste their time. We're out of time.
Mm.
Agreed. 1,000% agree.
Right.
It's kind of cool. We all have blue. I know the first time we met, we both had the blue walls behind us and
We
a
still all
lot
have the
Yeah, I
of
blue.
similarities,
know.
eh? Yeah, on our path. We connected through
Interesting.
Reddit.
I've
Yes.
made some interesting connections on Reddit actually. So for a while when I was offering intuitive healing and Reiki work, I found a lot of clients actually on Reddit, like maybe two or three or so. And they stuck around. So I was like, Reddit's got some potential.
Yeah,
Just
I
got to
think it's
figure
good.
out how to finesse it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all, they're not perfect, but that's one of the better ones for sure. But I know when I introduced, when we were talking before the show, I've totally gone past that because this conversation's been so exciting. Um, Tell us how people can get a hold of you? And tell us about your Patreon, tell us about your community, your podcast. Split it up, share it out, but let them all know.
Okay. So our website is www.goddessvibrationstudio.com. And on there, we have access to all of our podcast episodes. I think at this point, we've got about 74 or so episodes. We have 2 seasons. So if you're interested in exploring some of the content, season 1 was more of the like love and light focus, introductory things, crystals, tarot, divination. Season 2 kind of got more into like, okay, if you are ready to do more of the deeper work, what to look out for. We talk about, as we mentioned in this episode, the false ascension matrix and what that looks like, how to escape it. And then, of course, we had a couple guests kind of sharing very unique and interesting healing modalities. So a lot of that stuff is in season 2. Of course, the entire podcast has got fantastic information. And then if you're interested in checking out our spiritual community, it is a Patreon, and there's a direct link on our websites. If you go on mobile, then the link is in the menu item. And it's just a flat fee monthly. And then as part of that, you get access to all of our channelings. I do live readings. I'm a tarot reader, so my preferred tool is to do tarot live readings. And then everything else is just a community. It's a support place for people on the journey, new to the journey. And it's a lot of information there about some of the things that I'm still working through and that Allie has achieved when it comes to like escaping the matrix, finding a different ways of being and existing. So lots of fantastic information in there. And like I said, it's growing. We're growing it. It's expanding. We just kind of did a little bit of a revamp. So initially it was High Vibe Tribe, but you're going to hear us use the term transformational community because essentially that's what it is.
Yes, and Tiara pretty much just summed up everything there on our projects together. I actually don't have a web page, which is wild because I am a life coach, but yeah, I just kind of find my clients through the podcast. I do have my own email through the podcast, but I also just find clients just talking to people. I'm a very social person, and so when I get out there, and I always just do better in person versus trying to sell online, and so that's how I get clients. But if you listen to the podcast and if you are interested in working with me and if you like the information or want to know more, then definitely reach out to me on my individual email address on the goddessvibrationstudio.com. You can just click on that and shoot me an email. And yeah, so I am a life coach. I focus on soul integration and soul purpose, life purpose, whichever. And yeah, I mean, if you want to know about like your soul origin, if you want to know anything about your past lives, if you want to work through like activating your spiritual gifts, I mean, again, it's all expertise. And I'm working on offering some other services, but that's in the works. And so that will be announced when I'm ready.
I suppose I probably should have shared some of my offerings. I am an intuitive healer, and I'm also a Reiki healer, certified level 2. And I actually utilize several frequencies, so not just Reiki, but another feminine essence or energy called womb lights, which is very balancing, very calming. So I offer multiple different energetic frequencies and healing. When it comes to the intuitive readings, I've noticed that people seem to gravitate towards like the love readings, and I'm on a very unique divine counterpart journey, so I do have some insight into that, and I welcome that. I welcome people who are looking for that insight, and especially when it comes to navigating through a very frustrating divine counterpart connection. I completely understand. Been there, done that, still there, doing it. So if you're looking for insights into that, that's kind of like my focus area, and I can break it down and try to get a better sense of why the blocks are there, what you need to navigate through, what you might need to ground a union. So yeah, same place. My information's on the goddessvibrationstudio.com. You can go find my email, shoot me a message, and then we can see if it's a match.
Wonderful.
Jody,
Sounds
Jody, I just want to thank you so much for having us on. It's been a blast talking to you.
You're
Yeah, this
very
has been so
welcome.
fun.
You're very
Yeah.
welcome, and I wanna because we talked and I want to mention the time. I think we're about 45 minutes because I think the three of us could just keep going.
We
Oh, we
could.
could.
Why don't we end this one? Do you have anything else you want to say? And then what we'll do is, if you guys are up for it, I'm keen to have you back.
Oh, we would love
Sure,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. And do you have any last words? And we'll sign off because it's going to get long.
No last words. I want to just express my gratitude as well, Jody, for inviting us on. This has been a lot of fun, and I look forward to more conversations like this.
Great. Um,
Yes.
Allie,
Thank
you're all
you.
good. Anything else?
Yeah, no, I'm all good. I just wanted to say thank you, and it's been such a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah. Well, the universe intervened, I think.
I
Um,
think so.
Probably.
yeah. So that's exciting. I've clicked the bell on your podcast, so I'll be notified when your new ones come up. And I'm going to dig through the rest of them because you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't listen to podcasts, but the way you guys talk, I couldn't shut you off. So I
I
Thank
love
everybody
that. I
you.
go
know.
listen. I don't know if it, I believe that energy comes through our vocal cords and through our words, and you're transmitting. It's coming, so
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's great to hear
so
that.
yeah, I'm honored you were on my show and look forward to doing more episodes.
All
Um,
right.
so we're going to sign off, but don't run away because I'll just shut off the.
Okay.
Yeah, I did click the recording, didn't I? I'm in the energy,
You
so
did. You
I'm a
did.
little space.
You did.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, everyone. This has been the Time Is Now podcast. We appreciate everyone coming and listening and look forward to sharing with you again soon. Bye.